Well, Mark Zuckerberg will appear before members of the European Parliament to answer questions regarding the Cambridge Analytica controversy. This comes after the Facebook CEO said that he had no plans to appear before UK lawmakers. The political data firm gained access to the data of 87 million Facebook users, sparking outrage and an international dialogue about the social media site's policies. The news of Zuckerberg's appearance comes as Cambridge Analytica whistleblower Christopher Wylie testified on Capitol Hill today. The purpose of the hearing was to question the role Congress should play in securing transparency in data collection for consumers, while still allowing for further innovation. Here's some of what he had to say in his opening statement.
Online communities should unite us and not divide us. Data is the new electricity of our digital economy. And just like electricity, we cannot escape data. Online platforms' terms and conditions present users with a false choice because using the internet is no longer a choice. Americans cannot opt out of the 21st century.
CNET's executive editor Ian Sherr joins us now from San Francisco. Ian, what would you say were the big takeaways from his testimony today?
I think that a lot of it was what you focused on, this idea that the internet really has become so pervasive and necessary in our lives that there's really no way around using it. And as a result, the trials and tribulations of dealing with data and privacy and how the business models of a lot of these companies work infects all of our lives. There's a lot of people who don't have a choice whether to use email to apply for a job or to use Google while in their job. And that is despite whatever the privacy policies are, how you feel about it. And so that was a really big takeaway. The other thing is that, on a specific level, Facebook really interestingly, Wylie claimed that Facebook did not require any legal, kind of a notary or anything to get involved when he promised them and signed a piece of paper saying that he had deleted all of the data along with Cambridge Analytica. And that's really interesting. It goes to the whole conversation of how seriously Facebook took this issue before it became a massive scandal.
What did he have to say about the process of certifying that Cambridge Analytica had actually deleted the data from Facebook?
Well, so what he said was that, we'd heard from Facebook back in March that what they'd done is that they'd ask everyone to certify. So writing a promissory note that they deleted this data once Facebook found out about it. That was 3 years ago. And then Facebook recently found out that they didn't delete the data, right, which is what touched off this whole scandal. What's interesting is that Wylie says he wasn't required to get a notary or any other legal hoops to make sure he was making proof of this. So basically, he's saying it was very easy for Facebook to be lied to, and it didn't seem like they took it very seriously.
Wylie also answered a question from Senator Dianne Feinstein about a possible connection between Cambridge Analytica and Russian election interference. I want to play that for you.
Do you think it's possible or even likely that the Facebook data harvested by Cambridge Analytica ended up in Russia?
What I can say is that the lead researcher, Dr. Kogan, who was managing the Facebook harvesting project for Cambridge Analytica, was at the time working on projects that related to psychological profiling in Russia with a Russian team as that was going on. I also know that he was traveling to Russia. I also know, based on conversations that I had with him at the time, that he was making it known to his colleagues in Russia about the project. And so I can't say definitively one way or the other if these data sets did end up in Russia, but what I can say is that it would have been very easy to facilitate that.
He did say definitively that there was this Russian connection. What do you make of that exchange?
It's interesting. I think that it's hard to tell right now exactly how Cambridge Analytica and Russia are connected. A lot of this seems to be kind of in the same sphere, right? There's the connection to the Trump campaign and what happened during the 2016 election, which is also when the Russian operations were going on. But it all was happening in relation to Facebook. So everything seems to have kind of these overlapping circles, but they don't seem to exactly connect one another. And so the idea that Kogan, this researcher who really is at the heart of stealing all of this data from Facebook and then giving it over to Cambridge Analytica, if it turns out that he does have a serious Russian connection, that's probably going to take this whole scandal and give it a whole different light.
Wylie also stressed the importance of recognizing that these power tech companies really have a great deal of influence over people's personal data. What do you think needs to be done so that that power is harnessed or at least being used responsibly?
I think that's the question of the day, and really nobody has an answer. I mean, if you remember the testimony that Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, gave last month to Congress, the one thing that came out of it was that Congress doesn't have a lot of ideas. You know, there's the Honest Ads Act, which is going to force everyone to kind of disclose where political ads come from online. That's what's required on radio and TV anyway already. But other than that, you know, there's the European rules that are kicking in later this month that are increasing privacy protections. And then after that, there was really not much coming from Congress in terms of ideas. At one point, Senator Lindsey Graham actually pleaded with Mark Zuckerberg to come back to Congress and help write laws. And so this is a huge problem. They don't know what to do about these issues. And so far, it doesn't seem like they're really going to get much done on it either.
Across the pond, though, in Europe, it seems like they're doing this better than we are here in America. Can't we learn from them, Ian? Are there lessons that we can extrapolate and start using immediately in this country?
I think that there are certainly people who are hoping that these new privacy regulations, for example, get mirrored somehow in the United States. But look, this is a symptom of our political process. We have a lot of people who are not technically savvy in charge of writing the laws here, and they're not listening to or hiring the right people to be their aides to help them with this. And so as a result, you know, Congress has taken a back seat on tech issues for years. I mean, there have been decades where Silicon Valley's basically gone without any regulation. And now Congress has woken up to the fact that maybe they need to do something, and they are playing catch up real hard. And until they even have a full grasp of the problem, you can't expect to see anything actually substantive from them.
Ian, before you go, I want to ask you real quickly. We know that Zuckerberg's agreed to testify before the European Union. What do you think they want to hear from him? What can he expect?
I think that there's going to be a couple of things. First, there's going to be a lot of grandstanding, which is always fun to watch, right? There's going to be people beating him over the head and telling him, why did you do this? And he'll be probably going through a lot of what he did last month with Congress. But there's also probably going to be a lot of interest in how Facebook deals with international organizations, right? Part of the interesting thread here is that Cambridge Analytica is this little company in the UK, but they cause massive problems. And so how does that stuff happen, and how do you keep it from repeating? Also, one other thing, the European Union is way ahead of the United States in terms of privacy regulation. So they're probably already thinking about what's the next step, and while we're still trying to play catch up.
Ian Sherr, thank you so much for joining us, Ian.